And here we are, live for another show with Kitty Cat. And as I'm starting, I will sneeze. Sorry. Welcome everybody. Check out if everything is alright. And here we go. Everything seems to be cool. So, there we go everyone. Sitting in on the From the Couch show. Welcome everybody to this live show. So today a more relaxed show. We are of course on this live tech show that we have every week. Today's episode number 82 for a change. Since it's the last show, I thought it'd be more relaxed. No TVs, no nothing, just me and Paul the cat, just taking it easy. So welcome everybody. This is a show that we have every week at 3 p.m. Eastern, 1900 hours UTC. Now the one here now is the last show before we come back in August. So don't look for live tech shows for the next few weeks. We are going to come back Tuesday, August the 8th, and we will of course have a new format for a show. The format will be of a first hour of some of the tech news of the week. The second hour will be of course answering our questions, and we will end it with a good news, bad news, and technology of the week. So that will be the new format when we come back on August the 8th. Will be a longer show. And it will also be changing the Windows Insider Hour. Windows Insider Hour that is they're kind of funny. Windows Insider Hour that is usually at 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Basically, will change schedule and will be on Thursdays. So I think this is going to be a nice new schedule, and hope you guys enjoy the show. So really nice to have everybody here. So welcome everyone in the chat room. We have nice people here. We got a few questions, not a lot. It seems that because it's a live show, the last show maybe less people send in questions this time. So we've got a few, mostly comments, more comments than questions than anything. So nice to have everybody on board. I'm going to say hi already to Alex Tuttle, Patrick Manny, Bobby Burgess, Christine Bowman, Stephen Mayle. I saw K Wells 66, Douglas Elliott. Nice to have everyone here. Shervin Abdullah from Denmark. Nice to have you here. And maybe Tim Robinson and some of the regular women will also add themselves to the show today. So hello everyone. And the cat seems to be in a mood to get scratched there. So hope you enjoy today's relaxed show, and of course the last one for this season, as we will come back on August 8th. Hello there, Grapple Pearls. Nice to have you on board. So what do we have? First of all, Douglas Elliott with the XP patch. And Douglas, you're in the chat. Did you finally get the Windows XP patches on your old computer, just by any chance? I'm wondering if they didn't push these on maybe only to certain types of Windows XP machines like Enterprise. And nice to have everybody here. Hey Alex Tuttle, nice to have you here. And Jane Dagger, nice to have everybody on board. And yes, I know, but we'll be back and be more and force. So okay, so you downloaded through the web link instead of checking Windows Update. Okay, well at least you got it. That's the important thing. They technically have pushed it from what I've seen in the Windows Update on XP, but maybe something prevented your computer from actually getting that update, basically. So Paul the cat getting into all sorts of weird positions here. So no problem. No problem, Jane Dagger. Hey, Tim Brennan, nice to have you here. So, okay, so of course, if you've got an old computer lying around, you should have a patch. Microsoft unexpectedly patched Windows XP last week, which was very, very surprising. Very, very surprising. And basically, a lot of people were saying, hey, you know, they shouldn't have done that. It's kind of, everybody's going to expect some, you know, that you'll do something special. Yeah, Tim Robinson, it's quite all right. You're actually stumbled upon one of my YouTube channels. The Easy Computer Fixes channel is one of my channels. It does have some videos that are, actually I reactivated that channel in the past few weeks with videos, and some of the explanation videos of different features will show up there. But it's a broader channel. The Easy Computer Fixes is a very broad one. It has fixes for Mac computers, Android, iOS, for Windows. It has much broader videos of different technology. So it's one of mine. You just stumbled on one of my channels, so it's quite all right. And thanks for the, but thanks for, you know, reporting. It could have been somebody else, you know, checking out. What happened with that Easy Computer Fixes channel is it was one of the channels I was posting a lot of stuff. Then at some point I stopped posting there, which probably was a mistake because it started gaining momentum and at some point, and because I had too many channels to take care of, I eventually kind of, you know, moved out. And then suddenly, I don't know, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, I was thinking, yeah, you know, some of those videos there, especially the one, you know, one of the most popular videos on that channel is fixing Mac computer Wi-Fi problems. And it's got like more than 100,000 views. And it's like, okay, you know, and everybody thinks Mac computers don't have problems. Well, that's a pretty good example of that. Yes, Paul does want a lot of attention today, and same thing yesterday, and I don't know, hope he's not sick or doesn't have a little something. He just wants to maybe catch up. Got scared of the lawnmower. There's a the neighbor took out his lawnmower, and I think he got scared and just ran upstairs here, and just like doesn't want to just doesn't want to leave now. Maybe he got too scared by that good, you know, that big monster machine. So anyways, Easy Computer Fixes is part of one of my channels, and I will post more videos on it. It has a lot of very specific videos on. I want to have their videos that will show hardware fixes also. You know, I've posted there like changing a hard drive in a laptop. I posted a video of changing a hard drive in a desktop. You know, I want to do videos like, you know, changing the CPU on a desktop, just all sorts of little things like that. So nice. Well, Grapple Pearls, the cat says meow to Kenley. Oh, you know, Bobby, don't talk about lawnmowers at night. I had one rant this week. Sunday morning, 7 a.m., the neighbor in the back was mowing his lawn. 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning. And I was like, do you just think about yourself, or you don't feel like thinking it's Sunday morning and maybe you can mow it more like at 10 or 11, not 7 a.m., please? I mean, wow. So there's a lot of different stuff, Tim, on Easy Computer Fixes. I can tell you that. I've noticed that I've kind of regained a little bit of momentum on it, so I'm gonna Some, of course, of the videos that I talk about how to fix or how to do stuff on the here, I'm going to put it here, okay? Like that, you can be comfy on me, okay? What about it? You think? Here we go. So, he really wants attention. So, anyways, you know, lawnmowers, I have no problem with that. You got to mow the lawn, and I have no problem with hearing your, you know, like that guy. Okay, you know, it's 3 p.m. I don't care. But at 7 a.m. on a Sunday, please. Please. So, you know, anyways, I was ranting all day Sunday, so just it started my day like that, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to rant really good now. Okay, what else do we have? What else do we have? So we have another question from Shah Abbas Sarawari, and he's got a Dell Optiplex 780. He's upgraded from Windows 7 Pro to Windows 10. Now he's got a problem where the internal speaker in the computer doesn't have audio. And basically, okay, here's what's happening. That's an old computer, okay? It's not supported by Windows 10 really, and basically what's happening is that the driver needed for that internal speaker to work, which you had for Windows 7, is non-existent on Windows 10, and unless you're extremely lucky, I do not believe you'll have anything that will have the internal speaker working. So you'll have to resort into either using an external speaker, or I don't know, you'll have to use earphones or something, because I think that the driver needed for all of that to work is non-existent, and you're not going to have anything. So really sorry for that, but it does happen. It does happen that the drivers for the Windows machine doesn't work, unfortunately. So that speaker will probably not work, unfortunately. I'm really sorry, but that's really, you know, one of the sad things sometimes of upgrading a computer, for sure. Vince, Vince Palerno, which is from Pennsylvania, says really enjoy the show. So he's perplexed as to why every time he tries to download Microsoft's KB401-9264 on his Windows 7 home version, Acer laptop, it does successfully load. However, upon reboot, after download, my keyboard and mouse are disabled. KB401-9264. Let's check that out for a second here. What does it actually do on Windows 7? I'm just going to check it out here. So, Google. Thank you, Mr. Cat. Oh, man. You're going to go everywhere today, hey? Okay. Google. Windows 7 KB 401-1264. Okay, the monthly roll-up for the month of May. Okay. Huh. Okay, let me just check out here what it does. You say your keyboard and mouse stops working. They fixed issues. Okay, security, the kernel. That is weird because it shouldn't. With what I see here, it shouldn't do anything. It shouldn't do anything to at least break your keyboard and mouse. What I would try, did you try, okay, two things. It's an Acer laptop. One of the things I would try is, first of all, go into the, when you actually install that and it stopped working, make sure unplug and replug, because guessing that maybe you're using an external mouse or keyboard, but if it's the internal one, of course you can't do that. But if you use an external mouse and keyboard, unplug, wait 15 seconds, plug it back into the USB ports just to see if it works. Also, what you could try to do is go into the BIOS of your Acer laptop. Make sure that your settings for the keyboard and mouse, there's different settings. One is legacy mode. Maybe try legacy mode. If it doesn't, try whatever mode it has available, because it could be simply a little something that's not right in the settings in the BIOS on an Acer. So you'll get to the BIOS with like one of the F keys when you see that Acer logo on the start screen. So you can try that out also. I do understand that you are a little scared of running updates now when you've put them to manual. The biggest problem with that is that you're not secure, and if you keep it up like that, you're gonna eventually get viruses or malware because flaws will be exploited even if you do nothing. Some of these flaws will eventually catch up with you. Last thing that I would try also, shut it down, unplug the laptop from the power supply, and remove the battery, and wait for about 2 or 3 minutes to reset the all the basic, all the capacitors inside the laptop, and that sometimes will reset the keyboard controller and the mouse controller. Sometimes it could be something like that. So these are a few of the things that I would try. You said that you did check out the drivers. I would guess one thing that you should also check for, but the problem is it's the keyboard and mouse. It would be interesting to see if the drivers are okay also on that once that update is done, because it's very weird, because here I really see the update doesn't seem to really do anything to break that, but sometimes there's weird things happening. So try a few of these things and come back to me eventually. I'd like to know if any of those worked. And really sad to see that sometimes things like that will happen. Okay, what else do we have here? We have Stephen Mail that has his weekly comments and suggestions, and so let's read first of all it's first one after last show, which is June 16. So it says, hello Gilles and Paul the cat, meow. So everybody's learning the cat language now. Oh man. So what is going on with Windows Mail? All of a sudden a blue swirl background has shown up on the app since I use eye contrast mode. Unable to make any changes. I do not like this new background on regular creators update. Okay, for the Mail app, if you go into your Mail app and you go on the bottom into the little settings wheel, you will see that on the right side, go to personalization, you'll see that the world is part of the background. You can change that back to black or whatever you had. Also, maybe you've seen that, okay, there's light mode, dark mode, use my Windows mode. So if you want that to work, maybe you want to use Windows mode. That will actually follow your own settings. But apart from that, make sure that you go into the backgrounds there on the panel on the right side, and choose the first one, which is a unique color like black. And they're grayed out. They're grayed out. That's something is weird with your Mail app. What I would do is use CCleaner, uninstall the Mail app, and go back in the Windows Store and re-download the Mail app again. It might have updated and add a problem, because it's not supposed to do that. I think it updated and had a problem. So with CCleaner, you could remove the Mail app in the Remove Programs section of CCleaner. And go back to the Windows Store. You'll see Mail and Calendar app. They're both together. You re-download and reinstall them. That's what I would do. Maybe it's going to work doing that. So check it out. But it's grayed out, so there's something weird happening there. Something weird is happening. It's grayed out. What else can be happening in here? So you can't choose any of the on the bottom, also on your mail. Yeah, you can reset the app. That's true, Tim. Forgot about that. You go into your app list and the settings. Go into the apps and settings. Find your Mail app, and in there you'll have. Once you click your Mail app, Mail and Calendar, you can go to Advanced Options. You can choose Reset. So that's also something you can try. It might fix the issue also. And make sure that you've chosen, because one of the very important things to know is when you are in the settings and personalization, remember that at the bottom, the complete bottom, you will see the images, including the one you're talking about, the starry background. You got to click on the first one, which is a unique color. Not have the setting of one of the pictures. Also, very, very important to do that. Because if you're not set on the unique color, you cannot change some of the stuff. It is only for unique colors. So these are a few things that I would actually think. Also, you're talking about Creators Update, wondering, since apps are updated through the store, does this happen after a restart? Yeah, probably you got an update from the store, because these apps are updated regularly, and it caused an issue here, or you changed something. I'm very, very intrigued at the fact that Edge buffers and IE doesn't. There's definitely something weird on your system. I got absolutely zero problems with Edge, and very, very interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. Wise, for example, I get Facebook notifications on 1 out of 3 computers. All my computers are supposed to be identical. Another app text now will show up days later if for some reason I didn't use a computer for a few days. They all have one very, very specific thing. Every time, and it's not the first time that I notice when you talk about your problems, that they all have to do with one very specific thing: access to the internet. It really has something to do with your access to the internet. There's something not wrong necessarily with the computers, but with the way your connection is made on the internet. And that is why syncing acts weird. That's why a lot of the things that I've seen over the months that you've talked about problems and issues you've got, almost every issue that I've noticed were related somehow to the internet, to the fact that your connection seems to not be correct. It's very, very weird what's happening on your systems. It's because there's just so many problems. You get so many problems that it's almost unbelievable, because Windows 10 is such a stable operating system that it doesn't have really a lot of issues. Hey, Albert Zappa, nice to have you here. Yep, sleeping lazy cat today. So we've just got out of a very, very warm weekend. It was like 90 Fahrenheit, 32, 33 Celsius on Sunday. You say since the creators update, the cumulative updates have gone well and quick. My laptop is starting those blue screen of death every other day again with memory management. You ask me why I do not like Wi-Fi. Sometimes the browsers on this laptop just drag. If I were to put 4 with this, probably help. This computer is pushing 8 years. I don't think 8 over 4 will change much, honestly, because 4 is already not that bad in Windows 10 personally. And I do not think investing in doubling your RAM will do anything. But there's definitely something not right in your system, that's for sure, with those errors coming back regularly now. And if you have problems with Wi-Fi, it might simply be the Wi-Fi chipset in your computer that's not working right. Because Wi-Fi is, usually instantaneous and very good. Here everything is on Wi-Fi. Even my desktop has a Wi-Fi adapter. It's just, but one of the things for sure, memory management. I would check out. And I would check out the RAM. And I wouldn't be surprised you got a faulty RAM module or a faulty motherboard. Wouldn't be impossible. And these things are random. These things can be okay for a month, then you get tons and tons of problems. And Wi-Fi should not give you any problems. You do not like Wi-Fi because it doesn't work well. That's because there's something wrong with the hardware, either from the modem / router you have and your device. But Wi-Fi is as fast as Ethernet as for the internet. So you have something that's not working right just there. I don't know if you still have that old modem that you were talking about a while back. I knew you're on DSL. I don't know, I would have that changed to some much newer technology, for sure, because Wi-Fi is, but I do see, and one of the things that's very, very interesting, well, Wi-Fi is not slow on the internet. That's the thing, Stephen Mel. Wi-Fi connection on the internet is as fast as Ethernet. If it's slower, there's a problem of connectivity, because it is not slower than your internet connection, that's for sure. I do not think that you have a problem like that. If you do, there's really a connectivity issue between your router and your computer Wi-Fi adapters. That's different. You might need either a router that's much, I don't know, how old is a router, or what, how old is a router for the that you're using, or the modem. These have kind of a time limit of usage. When I never keep a router more than about I'd say after 2 years I change it, because I'm very, very surprised. You shouldn't have slower internet. Yes, you have slower connectivity in, for example, if you change if you send files from one computer to the other using your home network, yes, the connected cabling, the Ethernet cable, will actually make that much, much faster, because that is a faster connection. But the Wi-Fi on internet connection should be the same speed. 7 years, it's way too old. That's why you got problems. 7 years for the router. Change that router now. 7 years is way too old. If I'd be a tech and I'd go to your home and I'd see that 7-year-old thing, I'd say, okay, change that, and call me back after you've changed it. Or, of course, if you buy a router from me, then I would bring you a router. But 7 years is too old for that type of thing. I'm pretty sure every problem you got is because it's too old. 7 years is way too old for a router. My rule of thumb: 3 years max. Change it. Routers have a lifespan that ends. That means you are missing out at all sorts of new technologies that Wi-Fi uses today. You're missing out on also new protocols that Wi-Fi can connect. So basically, if your computer is more recent, it might have difficulty connecting correctly to a 7-year-old router. These are things that I see quite regularly. So basically, and get some good router. Get a router that's don't buy $30 routers. Get something that is rated as a good router. I usually spend around $100 for a router personally. Sometimes even more, depending. The one I have here that I do love, the TP-Link that I bought, which is based on the Archer C7 architecture, is an amazing router, and it's like in US, I think in the US I saw it on Amazon for like $79. It is a great piece of hardware, and you'll be in newer technology. You'll have AC capability. So if you buy a new computer, because you've been sending me these new computer, from time to time that you want to buy, and what's interesting is that that those new computers you're going to buy will probably have 5 gigahertz connectivity, and will have AC connectivity that is a gazillion times. AC is an amazing protocol for connectivity. It is much better than the N routers. It is way better than G. And you know what? You will have great connectivity with something new. And you know what? A lot of your syncing stuff, okay? If I want you to do a little something. If you got the money to do it, while I'm on vacation, buy yourself a new router. And when I come back on August the 8th, not only do I want to know if you have a new router, and of course I understand if maybe the money's not there right now, but if you can do it, that would be the first thing that I would think about. Buy a new router. And on August 8th, come back and tell me, you know what, a lot of the syncing stuff that you are having as a problem might actually not be a problem anymore. Maybe some of those connectivity issues and syncing issues will be gone because you've got something that connects better. So right now, maybe the connectivity on your internet isn't great because that part of your network is too old. So I would check that out. What else do we have? What else do we have here? I decided to run my desktop computers in tablet mode as an experiment and try to think what most people do when Windows 8 came out. Here's what was strange is every time I would click on an app, I would see a faded desktop and gadgets running. I was also able to close apps by dragging them off the screen like in Windows 8. For some reason, I do miss the Charms bar and the original All Apps feature. As I would not go backwards, I still wish I could put a legal copy of Windows 8.1 on one of my computers. Windows 10 has some nice features, and some of them resemble Mac OS X 10. I just saw a class on this OS 10 Sierra. Now I've never had any type of Mac, iOS, or Android device, but to me the learning curve would only take a couple of days. It's not that different of my computing world. Not changed that much. Is there a way to run this OS on a PC with some type of virtual software? My biggest question would be, why does Apple change 3-4 times as much on all these products? Well, it's simply a question of actually upgrading all the time. It's like Windows, upgrading regularly. Now, there's something called Hackintosh. Hack, that kind of gives you instructions on how to kind of run a Mac OS operating system on a PC. And actually, if you look at Hackintosh.com, you'll see all sorts of instructions on trying to do this. I have never tried this. I never tried this, and I'm not sure it might work well. But one of the important things here, it does say that you need a supported PC. That means you'll need some very specific hardware in order to probably run this. In Hackintosh, what it does is tries to, because the Mac OS 10 operating system has, of course, it's not because it can't run on a PC. It just has a little something that checks if your PC is a Mac, and if it's not, then it says nope, you can't install. It's also very specific for certain types of hardware. So I don't know. I've never tried it, and as an experiment, I should probably do it. I should probably do it just to see. So it probably would be an interesting experiment. So Hackintosh would be probably the way to go, but how easy or difficult it is, I don't know. And maybe that could be a fun summer project for me. Get a Mac OS computer running on PC with the Hackintosh. That could be very, very interesting. Yeah, Mac OS is a boring. It's kind of, it is very, very, boring OS technically, but it's an operating system, and I gotta say, it's okay. Also, you've sent another email that you say, when I get back from vacations and the Windows Insider channel will be moving to Thursday, can I think about moving it at 3 p.m. Eastern instead of 4? Would you consider this option if you want? If you can, I will probably be able to join you live. Yeah, absolutely. No problem in maybe doing it at 3 instead of 4. That's okay. So, it is kind of interesting. So yeah, why not? I will try that. As you know from some of the previous emails I sent, I seem to be having some sync issues. One day last week, I was going to my Lenovo desktop computer and signing in Microsoft Edge. Single day, all my sign-ins on Microsoft Edge and IE11 to be re-entered. So remember that if you use any cleaning software that removes cache, that removes temporary files, remember these software, they can wipe out all your information, and you need to actually re-sign in all of your browsers. So if you use one, CCleaner, anything like that, it can actually erase everything depending on the options that you choose. Remember, it could be one of the software you use. Maybe you use a piece of software to clean up, leftovers on your PC. That's why I don't like any of those software. That's why CCleaner is not part of any of my computers. It's something that I just find completely useless personally. But, okay, everybody's entitled to. And, I've had so many, and it's not the first time I say that, but I've had so many clients, that have it installed. And of course, I'm not going to say uninstall it's no good. Clients will say, oh, I use CCleaner and the computer goes faster after. Okay, so be it. But I do not use any of those things. Any software for optimization, software that pretends that it's going to optimize your RAM, software that says going to clean your registry, all of that is personally something that's completely useless, according to me. So that's just what I have to say about that. So, you know, be careful with all these pieces of software. Apart from that, I don't know what could have happened, but something happened for sure that you lost all your sync. And by the way, IE 11 does not sync in Windows 10. Don't try getting Internet Explorer 11 sync. It doesn't. The only way you can have it synced, okay, is very simple. Install the Google toolbar, log into one of your Gmail accounts, and install the Google toolbar on each Internet Explorer 11, and they will sync everything, because Google will sync it for you. But IE 11 does not sync favorites and things like that in between Windows 10 machines. And as for you know what, Firefox, it's funny because I've got a, when I did my new Firefox check of how much RAM it uses, I got a ton of emails saying, well, you know, it doesn't use that on my computer, and it's a much better browser than any other browser. And you know, I take these emails more as, okay, you're a Firefox fan, that's all, and you got pissed off by the fact that I mentioned that it was, you know, that I said it used too much RAM and so on. I didn't say it was slow, because personally I didn't have it slow. It was just way too big in using the RAM. And Stephen Mail says, he seems to say the same thing here, and he uses Opera. And Opera was very, very good. Actually, Opera was really the best browser when you looked at RAM usage. It was pretty cool. You don't like Google Toolbar, Jane Dagger? I like it because, you know, if you use a lot, I personally use a lot of Google services, and the Google Toolbar is very, 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 it's very, very useful in my case, because it syncs everything all the time between every, you know, and I like that possibility. As for Firefox, Jane Dagger, it's no improvement at all, and uses so much RAM. I was like, what the hell? So, man. Yeah, I understand, Jane Dagger. I do not like toolbars much, personally. You know, even add-ons. I don't have, any add-ons. I don't have toolbars in general. It's DR. And with that, I am pretty... I am like you, you know. I don't want to have any add-ons for sure. So that is possible. And so you know, it's because I use so many Google services. So, and finally you say, this all happened after the last cumulative update. My laptop also got a message from my mailbox settings were out of date and had to re-sign into Outlook. Do you think I should consider maybe going to an iPad or an Android tablet and have fun? That's up to you. You know what? If you are not somebody that requires a lot, you know, iPads and Android tablets are beautiful little devices. Now, will you have less problems? Probably with an iPad for sure. An Android tablet, not for sure, because an Android tablet, you know, I just look at my usage of my Android phone here, and I can tell you that there's always a, you know, at some point this little setting of this little thing or this error message that pops up about that. It's a little bit weird. As for the iPad, iPads are beautiful devices. It's really up to you on what you like. And remember, iOS is very different. It's a closed system, so everything you will need will be within the Windows Store. The positive point of an iPad, you know, not impossible, but very difficult to get viruses. You will have, you know, it's I gotta say, for example, for things like email, I actually find that having a tablet like an iPad is so much more interesting to manage email than it is using Windows Mail, for example. So there are things like that are very nice. If you match your iPad with an Apple TV, one of the cool things you can do, what you could do is, of course, have that iPad display wirelessly to your TV if you want. Now, that said, you will need a new router because a 7-year-old router will not be able to withstand that much of data. Yes, they are expensive, Jane Dagger, but you know what? I am thinking in eventually getting maybe an iPad mini or something like that. They are still very nice devices, and it all depends what you're going to do. Once again, an iPad is not like a Windows machine. If you like installing stuff, if you like installing software of all sorts, an iPad is not. You don't go on a web page and say, "Hey, I want to have that thing." It's not going to work. You gotta understand that it's not like that. It works. You always go through the store, a little bit like Windows 10s. And last but not least, iPads do sometimes have issues. You might sometimes have, you might just have, an app that crashes and sometimes stuff like that. I've had an iPad second generation for many years now. I've had that I still have now that I use to read books. I've had 3 iPhones. They are great, but they're not zero problems. And remember that every time there's a new iOS update, you often have kind of a little learning curve. There's things that change place, but it's not worse than Android. Just look at Android 7 compared to 6, and I was like, okay, everything was shuffled around. That's nice. So the Android option for a tablet, the Android option for a tablet is nice because it's a more open system. It's like the Windows of, an Android tablet is something that is going to be, you'll be able to install apps outside of the Google Play Store, for example. You'll have more options of tweaking it around if you want. But learning curve on Android is quite big. The learning curve on Android is really, really something that is actually, if I look at my own clients that actually asked me how to use their iPad versus their Android. If you guys notice, it's really getting darker here. There's like a thunderstorm going through, and it's like raining real hard right now outside. So anyways, the learning curve of Android is kind of steep. You have to sit down and start playing with it and understand the settings. And one of the things that is happening with Android also is that each company has its own kind of flavor of interface over Android. So if you have a Samsung tablet, for example, like even on the Samsung Galaxy S7 that I got here, Samsung has its crappy stuff over Android. They just want you to use their own little things instead of Android things. So it's up to you, but remember, it's not a PC. On an iOS device, iPad, you won't do what you want. You'll do what you can within a closed system that you only can get through the App Store. And remember, you don't have a file system. Well, now you'll have kind of a file system in the new iOS 11, but it's not like having a PC where you drop your files here and that and you download stuff and put it there, and not at all. That's not how it works on an iPad. It's a very, very closed system. It is like that more on an Android. You have a file system. You have you'll be able to move your files around in the different folders and all of that. So Android is a little more open. You'll do a little more what you want. You have similar things, for example, VLC video player, which is one of the best players. That could be installed in an Android tablet, for example, for viewing videos. But on Apple, you'll not have that possibility. And remember, if you see Google Chrome on an iOS device, it's not a real Google Chrome. It's impossible to do. It's Safari with a Google Chrome interface put on top of it. You cannot have the real thing. It's impossible because it's a closed system. Where on an Android tablet, Google Chrome will be the real deal. Firefox will be the real thing. So that's a very, very it's you know, something that you got to think about for sure on you know, what tablet you might want. And but you know, before a tablet, start by getting yourself a new router, and from there we'll see. Okay, from there we'll see. So okay, Sam, something happened in Brussels, but no injuries. Everything's okay. Cool. At least no problems. Too many things happening right now in the world with all these bad guys everywhere. These idiots. Really idiots. I can tell you that. What else do we have here? Viperboard Tommy left us a message. Nice little message here. Says, first off, let me start by asking you to read live. So, okay. He has his opinion of Creators Update that he finally got installed. It arrived to him on 14th of June, so not too long from now. Well, it installed flawlessly, so that's nice. Creators Update installed flawlessly. I know that sorry here, I'm just gonna change something in the source of my camera. It's a little too dark for my liking, and we'll just put this in auto mode here so that things get a little better. Here we go. That's nice. I look like, you know, I was looking like the Dark Knight or something. So okay, update flawlessly so far, no issues. Features, he likes the tab separation, and we're setting tabs aside. He loves that use of Microsoft Edge, and he uses that daily, and enjoys the nightlight feature. And you said then you have comments on, of course, the last From the Couch show that we had last Thursday. Basically, last Thursday, yeah, it's, you know, for now it's really the last From the Couch. Will it come back? You know, it is not impossible. Okay, the thing is, it's not a zero thing. It's not we're never gonna have it again. It's not really, you know, it's still up in the air. I mean, me and Gabriel started talking about it after the show. He stayed here like you know, all evening. We drank we drank half of his bottle of Di Saronno, and after the show, and we just, you know, kind of talked and had a lot of thought. Guys, I'm just gonna take 2 seconds because I think there's a window open in my kitchen, and it's raining real hard, and it seems to come from that area. So I'm just gonna be back in 2 seconds, guys, because I just want to make sure no rain is getting inside. So here we go. Everything's all right. Rain was coming in a little bit from the kitchen window. Funny, the cat follows me around everywhere. So, okay. So, you know, the funny thing is, I had closed the windows to reduce noise inside, except one. And now there's a thunderstorm, and it had to rain in the one that, of course, was open. It couldn't rain anywhere else. Just fine. So, anyways, from the couch, it's you know, it's still up there. It's still something that is a possibility in the future to come back. Now, for now, of course, with Gabriel working, the only time we would have to do that would be in weekends. Already I have one Saturday out of two that, you know, I have a radio show, so you know, it's very difficult for me to add any shows on Saturday because honestly, somebody will kill me if I do too many shows on weekends. So basically, you know, I'm not that much of a let's do it on a weekend thing. And also, you know, I can't see from the couch without Gabrielle. You know, I can't imagine from the couch without Gabrielle. That's for sure. I mean, if we have a from the couch, we will for sure be together. I can't imagine anything else. Now, is contract with the gaming company ends, I believe, in October. So if it is renewed, of course you'll continue working there. That means no. You know, I'm not totally close to the idea of, well, maybe if, you know, in October for some reason they would, you know, be out of a job because they didn't renew the contract. You know, I might ask him, hey, well, while you find another job, would you mind having a few from the couch shows? We are also thinking that maybe we could have some, you know, sporadic from the couch shows from time to time. You know, if it matches, we got the time, why not, you know, maybe do a little from the couch. So I know you're sad about that. You're not the only one. I got a few emails of people saying, you know, it's sad to see From the Couch go. It was kind of cool. It was a very, very nice show. And you are rating the show 9 out of 10. Really liked it, so pretty cool. Pretty cool. And finally, you were talking about power supplies, how, you know, fuse blew up in the old power supply, and you're wondering, you know, if there's too much, if you can buy a power supply with too much power. You know, your computer uses pretty much the power it needs, and so as long as you have at least you know, I always say in a computer at least a 450 to 500 watt ATX power supply for most desktop usage. But if you're a gamer, if your computer has a good graphics adapter, if you use it in your, you know, a lot, and your CPU goes up to 100%, remember that ups the amount of power that is required from the power supply. So it might, depending on certain uses, you know, need a 600 or 700 watt power supply. But I would say that the average for most people at 500 watts is quite enough to basically really, you know, just power everything. And you cannot, you know, if you buy a 600 watt power supply, all I gotta say is your computer won't blow up because you put too much power in it. It's just gonna use what it needs. And you know, there's actually, it's a good thing to have a much higher rated power supply for a very simple reason. It's that it's going to stay cooler, and it's going to be better at actually powering everything. And if you add, a better, bigger graphics adapter, a lot of graphics adapter require your power supply to plug it on the graphics adapter, because it uses so much power. It can't take all of it from the computer board itself. So you can't really get something that is higher than you can't really buy something that's too high. It's gonna work as long as it fits in. It's just gonna work. And if you have, one of the biggest problems in some of the computers is sometimes the power supply is too, I've seen computers with 300 watt power supplies, and you look at the computer and it's like, okay, and if you start applications and everything, sometimes it crashes, and you notice that the voltage is not stable because at 300 watt it just barely gives enough power for everything, and it might actually have problems with that. So take whatever you want. As for power supplies, there's tons and tons of different power supplies out there. Get something that's powerful. Don't go into the cheap power supplies. Often is the cheap power supplies are no good. Buy something that is, most power supplies that I actually had, for desktops for my clients were in the around $60 range, which is a better power supply than, you can buy a $15 power supply if you want, but there's a good chance that these will be really not that great. There's also a chance that voltage will not be as stable as a much more expensive one. And also there's the possibility that if, because it has the strict minimum of parts to work with, it might not last very long. It might even, if you have some power outage, actually even, make your PC more at risk of blowing up the motherboard, basically. So also you asked, do I need to save Rufus on to my PC when I soon here when then the next 5 day create a USB image or creators update? All like we talked about a few months ago. Do I need to save Rufus onto my PC, or can I just click run like I do? Rufus, you can just click run and do whatever you want. And you didn't have to wait, by the way, for you to have the creators update to have that creators update creation of your USB thumb drive. You could, you just download. It is on the when you use the media creation tool on the Microsoft website. That image is already the creators update. So, but if you haven't done it. So if there's something that happens and you need to reinstall Windows, you already have the latest update. So and says final, since you'll be on vacation, then does that mean you won't be doing the daily tech news from Monday Fridays anymore until return in August? No, I will continue doing the videos. So basically it's just the live shows I'm taking a break from. But there will be daily news, and there will be videos popping up every day. Like now, maybe in July, I would say maybe at a slower rate. So you might see an increase in the month of July of having just the tech news in the day, and that's it. Because it will be a little more complex. My wife will be on vacation throughout all the month of July. So we'll of course be doing things here and there, going out. So, but the daily tech news will be there, and when I have some time, I will do more videos for sure. And finally, you say, not after I installed Creators Update, my Cortana reminder started working again, and that's just an update so far. Been working again. What happened on 1607 caused it to mess up. You know, something didn't go, but probably it just got fixed in one of those things of the one of the updates or something just messed it up, and they fixed it when the creators update installed it, reinstalled with the settings you had, and for some reason that fixed an issue you had with that, and it might never break again, for sure. And thanks for the kind words. He says, keep up the great work you're doing for all of us, and you're doing awesome, and love you, lots of love for your fans forever. And signed Tommy, aka Viper the Bookman. So thank you very much, Tommy. Very nice little message, and pretty cool. Tim Brennan sent an email, says, are we going to share files if they disable Semba version 1 this summer in Windows 10? Yeah, that will not change anything. It's just because there's a new upgraded version. You know, they're moving us to upgraded way of sharing files in between computers. So no worry about it. That will stay. It will still work. Okay, so pretty much checked out everything. I did see in the chat room where let's go. Okay, Shah Abbas Sawari, I don't think you'll have any drivers to have that internal speaker work. I think the support is not there, and I don't think you'll have any way to do it. And what else do we have here? What else do we have here? Gotta love those pop-ins and pop-outs just saying, hey, I got a YouTube channel. Foreign Junior, hello there. Yes, I will have my Insider show tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UT. We are here with the Windows Insider Hour, of course. So, pretty cool. And that is nice. What else do we have here? So people talking about people talking about the power supplies, pretty cool. What else do we have? Pretty cool. So yep, Windows Insider tonight, of course. For those that are on the radio stuff, I have a radio or a Radio 101. Radio 101 tomorrow, where we're looking at the basics of shortwave radio. So tomorrow at 2000 UT, 4 p.m. Eastern, I will be talking about the types of shortwave radios out there, shortwave receivers. I will be talking about also the differences between them and how to choose a shortwave radio in general. I have a few suggestions for different price tag points of shortwave receivers. So hope you can join in tomorrow for that's on the radio channel for sure. Okay, what else do we have here? Okay. Looking at everything here. Okay. Adam Guardado, hello there. Nice to have you on board. Is that nightlight thingy on Creators Update any good? Does it make a difference? Okay, here's the thing. I don't know. This is still kind of a theory, if you want, a little bit. So is it any good? I don't know. If you have difficulty sleeping and you use your computer at night, try it out and see if you have you see a difference. I sleep like a brick. So I'm not the guy to use that feature, because I go to bed and there would be a nuclear war outside, and I would wake up in the morning with nobody left on earth except me, still sleepy. So I'm not the right person to test that out. But if you have difficulty sleeping, because I've seen some some science behind it. I've seen some things that talk about it, and of course it would seem that maybe it might help you. But Great Ball Pearls, it does turn your screen in a different color, because it removes all the blue, whitish, bluish color from your screen. So when you turn it on, your screen looks like an old newspaper that's been there for like 50 years. It turns yellow. Well, it looks like an old newspaper. Your screen will turn to an old color, yellowish color. So what it does is just removes in the lighting, and it really affects the lighting directly, by the way. It removes some of the bluish components of the lighting itself. So you can try it out. You'll see. And you have a nightlight a possibility of choosing the color. So if it's too yellow, for example, if it's too yellow, you can actually change the color that it has. So if it's too yellow, or you'll have in the nightlight settings the possibility to put it less yellow or more yellow or whatever, depending on what you want to do. So you can play with the settings to make it a little nicer if it's too yellow for your liking. But you'll see, if you have some difficulty, I don't know if you, Great Ball Pearls, if you've got difficulty sleeping, I think, try it out. Who knows? Maybe you'll sleep like a baby after you have that. I don't know. And part of it, that's also something that I'm thinking about, this option. Part of this will also be probably somebody, I've never seen a real control environment where, the person has the nightlight. So they have 100 people with nightlight, 100 people no nightlight. The difference, I don't know. Basically, sometimes that's one of the options that's very visible. So I'm thinking, well, that could be an option that, just because you see it, for some reason now you'll sleep better because you just think it's going to help you. I don't know. I really don't know. So check it out. Check it out anyways, and you'll see if it helps you. How many people turn off their computers at night? I turn off every computer. That's a question that comes so often from different clients over the years that I've had. People saying, "Oh, do you shut down your computer? Do you let it turned on? What do you do exactly?" The first thing that I always say is, whatever you do is fine. Today's computers, they could run 24 hours a day. Okay, Bobby, I did you send it at help with your computers, Bobby? Because I'm looking here, but I've not had your email. Help with your computers at gmail.com for the email, Bobby. So, like I say, today's computers, they could run 24 hours a day and they would still last for years and years and years. The biggest problem for a computer running a lot is mostly the screen. Screen will burn out at some point. It will fade out if it's turned on all the time, of course. So, if your screen turns off, that's okay. Some people put it to sleep, use sleep mode. you know, that's all right. If your computer works well in sleep mode, not every computer wakes well from a sleep mode, but if it does, that's all right. Whatever you do is fine. But personally, what I always say is, well, you know, I think it's not bad that your computer, you know, gets a little bit of time off. You know, computers, you know, when it goes to sleep, there's still like a little current. There's, you know, a little bit of heat being generated and everything. And I always say, yeah, you know, it's not bad to shut it down. And it's also not bad because if you've used it all day long, you know, you might sometimes have corruption and things like that. So basically, you know, when you shut it down, it just like erases, you know, everything in RAM. It erases everything you were doing. You start out fresh. Often it's a good idea because your Windows has not had all that day of activity there that could maybe at some point have it crash or anything. So by starting with a fresh new copy of Windows, pretty cool. But still have it, Ripple Pearls, by the way. The bubble screensaver, I believe, is still in Windows 10. If you look at the options, it's still there. But you know, computers can run like forever. I mean, like in offices, you know, and servers, these things work 24 hours a day. They never stop. They work for years. Well, we don't have the burn-in problem, Jane Dagger, but there is one issue, is that the screens, the LED screens, and the old LCD screens that have a neon tube, a small neon tube, they fade out. Your LEDs, with time, they do fade out. So your screen, if you let it turned on 24 hours a day, your screen set at, say, 75% brightness will not be as bright 2 years from now as it is when you bought it. And that's the number one issue with the screen. The lighting system will actually give out. So that's why shutting it off actually helps, because it makes sure that your LEDs stay as bright as possible for the longest time possible. And that's one of the things you got to think. Same thing, you know, big screen TVs. You know, I often play with like my 50-inch TV. I'll lower the brightness a little bit, because if you lower the brightness, it will extend the length of time that your LEDs are at least good enough to give a nice full brightness. Typical LED screens are like, I'm trying to remember how much time, but typical LED screens were like rated for LED screen rating. LED screen rating. If I look here at LED screens, man, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember what's the number of thousands of hours, but there's definitely like they have a rating that tells you that set at a certain percentage point, you have your screen will be 50% less bright after a certain number of hours. LED screen. Rating time. I'm trying to find here because they're rated for. God, I'm trying to find here. I remember seeing it. I don't remember the exact number, and I don't want to blab out a number I'm going to give, because it's like, okay, I'm going to have. I might give the wrong number here, and so I don't see the rate hour, but anyways, every screen will give you thousands and thousands of hours, but it will show, you know, it doesn't show, because, you know, sometimes those ratings are very, very, you know, they seem like, oh, 100,000 hours. I'm never going to use that. Well, think about it then. You know, if you actually have, you know, 10 hours of use or 12 hours of use a day, you know, after only 100 days, you're already at 1,200, you know, easily at 1,200 hours. So that 100,000 hours isn't that big when you think about it at some point. And of course, it has to do with the brightness that the screen has also. On my RTL TCP server on Windows and GQRX as different clients, sometimes it wants to stutter, and the only way to make it stop is to restart the router. How to make this constant stuttering stop? Have you set it on a in your router? Have you give it a specific IP? That's one thing that you could try. Set a specific IP so it doesn't have to, you know, it doesn't have to choose one of the, because you know, by if you're on DHCP, it will actually fetch an IP address automatically. But these kinds of devices, you want to have a fixed IP. So in your router, you want to set your RTL device also on a fixed IP. It's always the same. That's one thing that you need to try. And you know what? A lot of routers can't handle the constant send of data on a device like that. You know, I changed my router for the simple reason that the ephedry would crash my router every, you know, 20 minutes. And I would have to restart the router, and then it would be good for, you know, 20 minutes, half an hour. So it could be the router also. I don't know what type of router you've got. That also is very important. A good router for things like that, a good router is important. Make sure that you upgrade your firmware of your router to the latest firmware so that it has no glitches or known issues that might have been impacting the router itself also. But these are a few things I would check. Make sure that you've got a fixed IP in your router for that device, not DHCP. A lot of these devices, when they're on automatic IP, they crash. They often crash. They want to have a very specific one all the time. And also check out one of the things that's, okay, Linksys N300. You know what, Bobby? I had a Linksys N1200, I believe is the name. And my Linksys crashed all the time with the ephedry SDR. And it got fixed when I got the newer router, the TP-Link AC1750. It could be that the N300 you've got has difficulty handling so much traffic, plus everything else. It doesn't show, but you know, a router is a small computer, right? And if the CPU of your router isn't powerful enough to handle what it has to do with all the other things around it, I've got to say, it's surprising how it can actually easily crash. It doesn't show it. These RTL little things actually send out a tremendous amount of data. You know, the other day I was looking at my my laptop here, and I was actually listening to my ephedry SDR. Just to give you an idea, I actually started listening to the SDR at around 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and it worked until about 11 p.m. at night, constantly. And I had more than 100 gigabytes of data sent over the network just for the SDR. That's not counting that I was on the internet on other devices, that I was sending YouTube videos online, that I was doing tons of things. So it could be that your N300 router is incapable also of just doing that plus everything else that you ask it. One of the things you could try to limit the you know, the router usage to when you actually use it. Have just that working plus only one other machine, for example. That to see if it actually fares better. But unfortunately, you might, one of the honest answer is you might actually need to change your router to something more that has more performance on it. I gotta say, I've my TP-Link AC1750. Wow, one of the best routers I've ever had, and it's really worth it. It's here in Canada it was about 120 Canadian dollars. Really worth it, the price, totally. I mean, it is amazing, and you could see that it handles much better all the traffic, or that you're actually sending it out. So it's very important. But I wouldn't be surprised your Linksys N300 has a little bit of problems. Yeah, I know it's not the answer that you probably wanted, but I wouldn't be surprised your Linksys router has difficulty with all. Lower the when you actually use the RTL, you probably can actually, in the settings, you can probably play with how much data is being sent out. Of course, it will reduce the scale or the size of the waterfall display, but try sending a little less data, even though if your waterfall is smaller, and see if it fares better, if it doesn't crash anymore, for example. That will basically tell you your router has difficulty handling all that data while it's doing something else. But I gotta say, routers, it's really, even now I could see that my Linksys that I had before had even difficulty handling my live feeds, because everybody immediately noticed that I had a lot less buffering and a lot less problems in my output of live shows on the AC1750. So that means that router was already struggling just with that. So it's I wouldn't be surprised that your Linksys router has an issue with that. It has difficulty handling the traffic, unfortunately. Link. I'm just gonna. I've seen that one somewhere. Links N300. And yep. Thanks. Yeah, BGN. Buy yourself one of the new AC routers. That's one thing you should maybe think about, Bobby. Try to think about getting one of those new AC routers. You might actually find that it will actually have a huge difference in the performance of everything, for sure. And I also, one of the things I wanted to have with my new router was to have the gigabit Ethernet ports. So check it out. Invest in a new AC router, and I can bet you just that already will have a tremendous improvement, because that router will also already be more powerful. And I can bet you that will probably eliminate all the problems you had. It's surprising how everyday today use of a router doesn't necessarily show up. I have clients that have these $25, $30 routers, and you look at them, and a lot of them are actually working fine, and they have no issues and anything, but they don't do anything. One great example of that is a client of mine that called me up, and he asked me, "Oh, by the way, do you understand how the Apple TV works and everything?" And I said, "Yeah, I got one." And he said, "Oh, cool, because I'm trying to stream my iPad on my Apple TV, and he says it always freezes, and sometimes it even crashes." And it turned out, I looked at his router and I said, "Well, your router is incapable of giving out all the data that you want. That's as simple as that." And he had a hand router, but I gave him a suggestion. I told him, "Look, I've got routers for sale, and I have one with me right now. If you want, we'll just install it to test, and we'll see how it goes, and you'll see if it's better than the one you have right now. And the one that I sell is, I always sold routers around the okay routers, the ones that are around $70, $80, not the cheap ones. I never sold cheap routers because I know there's too much problems in cheap routers. And it's a router, it was a TP-Link router. I knew it's a TP-Link router I really knew well also, because I knew well how to not only configure it, but I knew it was a good performer and rarely crashed, and you rarely had to plug it back. And we just installed it and took his iPad. We started streaming 1080p video, and I had some stuff to do in his computer, so I worked for an hour in his computer, and I said, look, use it and look at if it crashes or anything. And you know what? After an hour, he looked at me and said, wow, it didn't crash once. It didn't even freeze once. I said, well, that's the issue. Your router is incapable of doing what you want. So it was funny because that router was supposed to be on another client. So it's just it tells you that routers, when you do basic things, you can maybe have a cheap router and pull it off, but then when you actually invest in and need something that has a lot of data and have multiple devices plugged in, you suddenly notice that your router is like the center point, and it's super important. And that's where you start noticing that a good router is important. Patrick Manny says, I don't think 4K is the big leap that 1080 was from standard def TV. That's one thing for sure. It is a step forward, and I've seen 4K content at a friend's house that has a 70-inch 4K TV. You do see that it's somewhat better, but it's not. It's like you say, Patrick. There's it's not. Standard television and HDTV was a huge leap forward. And I would say that 1080p for the average TV viewer, they won't see a difference with 4K. The average TV viewer will never see the difference. Where 4K is nice is on really big TVs, because 1080p has its limits. I mean, on a 50-inch TV it looks nice, but if you've got an 80-inch TV, and some people do, now 4K does give you a better resolution, because remember, 1080p and the bigger the screen, you don't have more pixels, they're just stretched out. So the bigger the screen, the more you'll see that 1080p has its limits. But for regular 40-inch TV, or most people have 32-inch TVs or 40-inch TVs, 4K on a small display like that will not look better than 1080p. It's really on big displays that it shows up. Oh, that's cool, Stephen Mail. So you took settings out of eye contrast, made them, and went back. Yeah, maybe that's what it needed to just reapply the settings. And really really nice. So, let's check here if anything else. Tim Brennan, I will, I'll check it out. Talk about the Samba version 1 issue and what it impacts. We'll check it out. I'll keep that question for the Windows Insider show later on. So, hey, everyone, this was the last show for a couple of weeks, well, a few weeks now. We'll come back on August 8th with a brand new format of course, the tech news of the week. We'll have a brand new format with, first hour will be tech news of the week. The second hour will be the questions of everybody, and then we'll end the show with the good news, bad news of the week on technology. And so it will be a new type of show. Also, the Windows Insider Hour in about an hour and 25 minutes from now. And we will also have that show come back, Windows Insider Hour, next in August, but it will be on Thursdays. It will take the place of the From the Couch show in its time slot, and we'll probably do it at 3 p.m. instead of 4, as Stephen Mail will find it more interesting to be able to be there. And Great Old Pearls, you know what? We wanted to do, we're going to do every time we wanted to do one of those cooking videos, it just didn't turn up right. And we most of the time we ate like junk food. There were not a lot of cooking going on. Yes, Patrick, I will continue posting. Actually, on my channels where I regularly post stuff will receive regular videos also. But it's just the live shows I'm taking a break from, because they are the most time consuming. Also, you gotta keep up your energy level to have a show and talk and blabber for a couple of hours. So basically, every channel that gets videos right now will continue getting daily updates of videos for the next weeks for sure. So hey there, hi VNet, nice to have you on board. And so basically we're back in an hour and 24 minutes. An hour and 24 minutes from now. We will be, of course, on the Windows Insider channel doing our live show tonight. So hope everybody can join in. I'll post a link here to the Windows Insider channel. YouTube.com/ wherever the slash is on this keyboard. Okay. Windows 10 for everyone /live. This is where we will be in the next show in an hour. And I know, Great Old Pearls, it's just like let's whatever do everything. And always nice to have everybody on board. Jane Dagger, nice to thank you for the nice comments. I need a statue. I wonder if someday there will be a statue of me somewhere. Well, 100 years they'll be celebrating the famous YouTubers of the past, and they're going to say, well, today is Gilles YouTube Day. Why? He was one of those YouTubers that made it somewhere. I don't know where, but he made it somewhere. And I don't have all the details here, but if anyone that wants to help me out, please help me out. Donations are accepted through PayPal at the Yahoo email I will send here in the chat. Also, Patreon is a great place to be a supporter. Be careful how you set up your Patreon for a very simple reason. There's, if you don't look at all the options, you might actually find that there's some weird issues. Like I always say, there's somebody that actually had you know, $1,000 taken off his credit card. Actually, they tried to take it off, it didn't work, but you know, that person is a little mad. So please be careful of the options on Patreon, and well, you know, just send something on PayPal if you can, for sure. So absolutely, JC, absolutely. Just have fun. That's all I gotta say, JC. Ah, God. Triple process. I bought a thingy at Cracker Barrel that says, "Don't blame me, my computer did it." Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I like that. That's nice. What else do we have? Hey, Silver Shadow. And yeah, I Alex T about remote desktop. Remote desktop. Remote desktop. Somebody asked a question about a remote desktop. I didn't see it go through. Oh, Alex Tuttle. What was the question? What was the question, Alex? Can you repeat the question just for something to ask about a remote desktop on can it work versus Windows OS? I have old laptop I want to use for remote desktop. If I go out of town, I can get to my work. Yeah, it should actually work, whatever version you've got and whatever. Absolutely, you need to just enable it in the in Windows. But you know, for remote desktop usage and stuff like that, I always find it 100 times better to use one of those online services. Oh, that's true, Patrick. Pro versions to do that. You know, use something like oh God, what's that software you can install? Use one of the software and install one of the software services. Remote desktop software. Okay, one that I used a lot. Okay, TeamViewer, but TeamViewer requires a code. Log Me In. I don't know if they still have that free basic service, but Log Me In. TeamViewer is nice, but I believe TeamViewer, you need somebody at the other end to enter that code. I don't know if you can set it up. I've actually never set it up in any other way, so I don't even know if you can just set it up. TeamViewer works if you can set it up without having to enter the code all the time. But Log Me In also. Log Me In. I've used Log Me In. I've used a lot, and you just install the remote app. That Log Me In is what I was using with my own family, because Log Me In, you don't need that person. You don't need to have that access. Log Me In, you just go and you search, you look at the list of computers you have Log Me In installed. It installs a little program in the taskbar, and it works it works with Linux. It works with Windows. You can even control your PC using an iPhone or an Android phone or tablet. So it works with every one. So Log Me In works really well for that. You just install it and you get access, and you can access from everywhere. So and I use that for most of my remote desktop uses. Every time, you know, my family member would say, "Joe, the computer has a problem, got an error message, whatever," I just would, you know, click the name of that computer. They all would have the name of my, you know, family. So it's like, okay, Carol. I would click on Carol, and then I would just, you know, I just say touch nothing, don't touch anything, and I would have access to do whatever I want, and just restart the PC, and that's it. So log me in, check that out. Log me in. The only thing I hope is that they still have their basic free service. I haven't used it in a long time. I know they have. I know Log Me In has been bought by another company. What I'm scared of is that they will actually ask you for a fee. But when I used it last time, it still would work. It still would work for free. They were a free basic. So log me in, and you create your little. You create your little account there, and just go through. So let me just check it out here. So log me in. Yeah, log me in. So just trying to check out. Okay, products or products. Yeah, that's why, Dave. Okay. Oh God, you know that's the problem. You know they've been bought by that company. GoToMeeting and GoToAssist and all these products. So I'm wondering if they still have a free service. You know, let me think about it. I think that would make actually a very, very cool, very cool video. I am more of a fan of a service like Log Me In for security reason. And you need to have the Pro version everywhere, by the way. It doesn't work if you don't have the Pro version in the Windows services. So, I'll take a little break, go eat some lasagna. I've got some nice lasagna. And I'll try to have him, Stephen Mal, in some of my videos. He's really, really just cool now. Just like, so beautiful. When he's sleeping like that, it's like just so nice. And that cat is amazing. You know, I mean, if I get up, in the evening, I often see that. He's sleeping here, or he's sleeping on the chair. I get up, I go to bed. It doesn't even take 2 minutes that I hear him come in the bedroom, because he always wants to sleep next to me. He doesn't want to be in another room. When he's sleeping, most of the time he wants to sleep in the same room. And if he can, you know, be here, you know, he just wants to stay next to me. It's just funny. Yeah, of course, Grateful Pearls. I'll be looking at the email if there's any emergencies or anything, and of course, for some of those I might be answering through a video. So if you are wondering, for what I can answer through the email, of course, I will keep an eye on the email. So yeah, we need teleportation. I've got lasagna for like 20 people. I could each send you part of my lasagna. Okay, log. So Big Kitty, it's still free for Log Me In? Okay, at least. Cool. Log Me In is great. So the lasagna that I made is it's a little experiment that I tried. I actually made a kind of a meat sauce. So there's, you know, with ground beef, and I actually added some cream to make like a rosé sauce with meat in it, and I put that in the layers, and it has. So I've really I've kind of tried that, and I mean I used the leftover ground beef I had in the freezer because it was starting to get a little long time that it's been there, so I wanted to clean up the freezer, and I just I think just the lasagna I think has like at least 3 pounds of ground beef in it. So it's like, you know, I'm gonna be there for have lasagna for a while. So yeah, the cat does trust me for sure. For sure. It's 14 days according to the website. Hey, Tim. Okay. I'll check it out anyways, and I'll see if what we can do. So, yes, I know. Okay, Gripple Pearls. I will be doing a little video while I put, you know, my little square of lasagna in the microwave oven. So, now I'm getting hungry. Thank you, Ivy Nat. And don't worry about it, you know, it's, some people sometimes, you know, say, oh, I'm a little, you know, a little sad, I can't give you much. It's like, no, don't worry, you know, anybody that gives any amount is welcome, and it is welcome. I mean, it's great thing, you know, everybody has different budgets, and, you know, I'm so grateful for everybody that donates. It's just so cool, and, you know, it actually, I'm very serious when I talk about this. It really did actually help me in continuing what I do, because at some point, you know, monetization was so low that if I did not have the donations to actually compensate, I have to say I would not be here. I would not be here. I could not be here at all. So anyways, tomorrow a shortwave show for beginners. Checking out the different shortwave receivers, choosing a shortwave receiver, suggestions of receivers, and the difference between all of them, and the different functionalities that they might have. So tomorrow, that's on the radio channel, 2000 hours UTC. There will be, of course, the official shortwave show on Saturday, 2000 hours UTC. Shortwave show, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but the shortwave show might be the only show that I'll keep doing through the month of July. So there's a good possibility I'll keep doing it. So Windows Insider Hour. And that is coming up in an hour and 9 minutes. I'll go eat a little piece of lasagna. Thank you, Christine Bowman. I will have a nice little break. See you in the insider shows that people will follow up. For the radio show, you're talking in the UK, Patrick Manny, it's what time in English? So tomorrow's show is 4 p.m. Eastern Time, East Coast, North America. 20 UTC is basically 9 p.m. And for the insider show, it's 2200, but I believe, isn't that 11 p.m. In the UK? Aren't you guys in like the summertime? So anyways, see you guys in a little bit more than an hour. So 4 p.m. Eastern. Yep, Patrick, 4 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, the East Coast. For the East Coast, it's same time. You know, East Coast is in the same time zone as Montreal. So 6 p.m. tonight for the live show, and a little over an hour. 4 p.m. tomorrow, the radio show. 4 p.m. Saturday for the radio show. And for those that are fans of the live tech show, we are back August 8th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 1900 UTC. So stay safe. Have a great summer. And see you in the new format show that will be on August 8th, Tuesday, Patch Tuesday, August 8th, 2017. Bye everybody. Love you all. Thanks for your support. And really a lot of fun. You guys and girls, fantastic. Thank you. Bye.